Asked to respond with the full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Station who wishes to check in on the net, please come now.
November 6 Yankee, Germany.
November 6 Yankee, Germany. Good evening, George.
Alpha India 6, Delta Golf, Joel in Florida.
Good evening, Joe. I'm glad to see you.
November Romeo 6 Hotel, Anders in Folsom.
NR6H, Will Anderson. And one of these days we need to get together and talk about Sweden. Okay, welcome. Next person.
Alpha Echo 6 Juliet Golf, James in Gold River.
James, very strong signal into the repeater now. Anybody else?
Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta Carol Citrus Heights.
Oh, Carol, not a strong signal into the repeater right now. I think you're working on the YouTube much better. But I'll check myself in, KL7HQR. Anybody else? And I have to let you know that Bob, N6BGQ, would like to participate, but he is out on a camping trip up south of San Francisco. And he tried to get into the 10-meter net and didn't quite make it. We'll try tomorrow again. Well, let's go in order. N6YG. George, if you're ready, let's see.
I have it. Go. I'm going to be sending this out in MR140, so if most of the software out there can decode that. I also downloaded Black Cat's SSTV software. I was playing around with Black Cat software, and it's $19 they charge. It's very simple. I think it's actually a good option for people who are just getting SSTV. The only drawback is it doesn't quite decode pictures as clear as MMS TV. So just thought I'd throw that out there, probably because it doesn't have all the filtering options. All right, here we go. N6YG. Wait, stand by just one quick second. My template was wrong. Here we go.
Joe, a very different sound on that that mode, that signal. But good copy here. Let's see, AI6GG, how do you copy, sir?
Excellent reception. We're looking up at the sky. We're looking up at the underside of a tree on the lower right, and in the center, and upper from a diagonal from lower left to upper right, we have a big antenna, kind of a rectangular with two booms sticking out in a rectangular pattern. We've got it looks like they're tension to point up, so it looks kind of like a third of a hex beam, but the hex beam would have 6 of them sticking out. You know, three links going across the post in the center. This has only got 2, and they're not at 90 degrees to each other. They're more like 30, 120. And there's a center mass that they're sticking off of with that's mounted onto a rotor of some kind that's off to the side of the top of a tower. And I can't tell how many wires there are. It looks like it's probably just one loop, so one band. And so maybe it's a one band, not symmetrical hex beam. Anyway, back to net. Good reception, few pops, repeater ID bar across the top, and I've got a moire pattern. I don't know if that's me or if everyone has that. Ever so slight banding. Back to net, AI6DG.
Well, thank you, Joe. KL7HQR is net control. AE6 Juliet Golf. How about you, sir?
I had good reception. I see the repeater ID. I don't have much more to add. I do have those 45-degree lines throughout the picture. I don't know what causes those. And I did like hearing MP140 for the first time. That was an interesting sound. A few pixel pops throughout, but very light. Back to net control, AE6JG.
Roger, KL7HQR. I'll add my, again, the same thing as was said, that the slight 45 degrees top left to bottom right patterns, a few pops, and I'm kind of curious on the dimensions of this antenna. And by the way, Carol, just for you, I do not have YouTube monitoring tonight, so please let us know if there are anybody monitoring who would like to recognize them. So, N6YG, let us know what the background of the picture, sir.
That's Moxon. It's a 2-element, horizontally polarized 10-meter Moxon, homemade. It's made using those little extendable fishing poles that are whatever they're called, yeah, the ugly sticks. They're only a couple dollars a piece. The hub is just made out of angle aluminum, and the poles are zip tied in place. It's kind of hard to explain. I somewhere around here have pictures of the hub, and it's all very lightweight. The wire just hooks on with little clips on each side. This is very fast to field deploy. I was experimenting with this as a field deployable antenna, and it is it comes down to about maybe about 1.5 to 2 feet in length when you slide the poles in, maybe closer to 3 feet. You slide the poles in, it's closer to, it compacts down to about 3 feet. The wire comes completely off and can be rolled up and put in a baggie, and one person could assemble it. It's very easy to put together. You just you can mount it to a lightweight fiberglass push-up mast and rotate it by hand. And if you're not familiar with Moxons are great antennas. The hex beam is actually based off the Moxon. It's a modification of the Moxon. It has it doesn't have super good or super high front gain, but it has tremendous rejection off the back. You can really null noise off the back without being too narrow on the front. So it's a fun antenna to play around with. And I posted this because of the whatchamacallit, the test that they did tonight. I'm drawing a brain fade here, but the simplex test that they did tonight is why I went ahead and posted this. And I sent this on the wrong mode. It was supposed to be an MR 140. MR 90 gives you better quality than PD 120, and it's only 90 seconds long. Should probably send it in that. All right, N6YG, back to net.
KL7HQR, yeah, sure enough, it's a very interesting antenna. I, for one, have not heard about it, and thanks for sharing. I definitely took a note here. I'm going to take a look at it. And when we talk about the Aries, maybe tomorrow, I would like to ask you a few questions about this type of antenna myself. Very well. Number 2, AI6DE. It's your turn, sir. Let's see what you have for us tonight.
Just a moment, let me load it.
Very well. Thank you, sir. Let's see, George, N6YG. What are your comments on the picture you just sent?
I've got a few pixel pops on that. Of course, that's just the band, the repeater. And yeah, I'm not sure what I'm looking at here, where this is at. One of Joel's many trips someplace, so I will be interested to hear. He looks like he's up in top of a building, obviously. I don't know if he's on the roof or shooting through a window. Clean window if he is. You see the shadow of the building on the ground. And I'm not sure if this looks familiar to me or not, so I'm going to go ahead and send it back to Net. N6Y. Wait a minute. Is that a double-decker bus down there? No. All right. Back to Net.
Well, this is KO7HQR for net control. I would guess it's coming from the Eiffel Tower in Paris, but I think I would be wrong. NR6H Enders. Good evening, sir. What are your comments?
Good evening. Paris? Nah, I don't think Paris. Big intersection. We see road going from top left to bottom right. Many lanes. Definitely in America. No other country has that many lanes. Double-decker bus puts us in Vegas. That's the only place where we see double-deckers. So I think we're in Vegas. Don't know where though. Don't recognize the angle or the view. Kind of interesting view because it almost looks like tilt shift, where everything looks like toy cars down there. Other than that, reception so-so, I would say. Colors are clean, lots of pops. Got a couple of disturbances about halfway down the middle of the picture. But that's it from NR6H. Back to Net.
KO7H2. Thank you. Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. It looks like a little, I don't know, not fisheye lenses, but a very wide angle lenses. KP4MD, Carol, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, that's KP4. Okay, I pushed the right button now. Okay, not much else to say. I'm seeing the letterboxing effect of the black bars on the top and the bottom quarter, pretty much, and I don't see the horizontal hatching that we had in the previous picture. And looks like it might be a maybe a fisheye lens. It looks like a very wide angle image there, and perhaps a little bit of the typical type of picture distortion you get with a fisheye wide angle lens. But it's an interesting look at an intersection, and it looks like it's from a high floor of a tall building, and I'm not sure where this is. So back to Nets, KP4MD.
Roger, KL7HQR. Okay, I'm kind of curious. I tend to feel that Las Vegas is a good bet, but I have not been in Vegas for so long that I really don't recognize a lot of things that have gone on there now. So let's go back to AI6DG. Please clear the questions.
So, yes, Las Vegas. I spent over a week there, but I only had a couple of days to play tourist. This is one of the days. And I just about wiped myself out. I took the monorail all the way down to the end of this run, which is down at the Sahara, and actually walked from the Sahara a couple of blocks down to the Stratosphere. I think it's now called the Strat. Both of those which are on the out of view to the far left. The street that's at the weird angle from left to right is the Strip, Las Vegas Boulevard. The Sierra and the Stratosphere are to the left out of view behind the buildings that are there. Some interesting things in view. On the extreme left, you'll see the FB on the front of the very large building. That's the Fontaine Blue or Fountain Blue or however you want to pronounce it. That's not open yet, but it's kind of exciting because that building's been there since before 2008, mostly unfinished, and they finally are finishing it. It's nice to see it actually be completed rather than torn down. It's opening supposedly in December, and it's one of the big exciting things happening in Vegas this year. This is taken from the top floor of this section of the Resorts World. So it's got a little mall in front of it, and an escalator at one end, and it's got 2 or 3 layers of stores, a bunch of convention area, a nightclub on rooftop patio that was locked, so I couldn't get out to it. So instead, I went to this front window with this amazing view of the Strip and looking towards the east across Las Vegas. He let it drop. Mainly, I was just trying to cool off. I had walked about a mile off from the Sierra and the stratosphere, and I overheated myself. I was literally, I think, starting to get heat exhaustion, and the only thing that saved me was pouring some water on my head, letting my head cool off, and sitting down and resting in the shade a few times, walking from down there all the way up to the Resorts World. So I was ready to just sit down and cool off and relax, and I took in this view, finished some lunch I had brought with me, and took some pictures. The road that goes straight out away from us in the center goes down towards the convention center, and the new wing of the convention center that they built recently is that building that's kind of you see the big white roof and going up at an angle to facing the road. You may be able to read Las Vegas Convention Center in the center of the picture on the side of that building. To the left, there's a Denny's sign and a Ross building. Just behind that is the Pepper Mill, which probably means nothing to you, but it's a famous restaurant in Las Vegas. And just to the left of that sign is where the Riviera used to be. It's gone, completely flattened. It's just a parking lot now. Tacos El Gordo, which is a famous taco place in Las Vegas, is on the bottom bottom right on the corner of the intersection. A very nice view, and it was nice to sit in a nice, pretty new building, convention center, eat my lunch, and be cool. After this, I took in more walking around maybe let it drop. Around the mall, took in the views, and walked straight down that road past the convention center to the old convention center wing, and found a station for the monorail, and rode it back down to my hotel, and the shuttle to the airport, and the plane flight home. End of a nice trip to Las Vegas, back to Net AI6TG.
AI6TG and the Net KL7HQR. Thank you for such a detailed and good description. You make us feel like we've been there. And I don't know what kind of work you do, but you seem to be going to Vegas quite a lot. I don't know if you gamble or not. If you do, good luck. Thanks. That was very nice description. NR6H, Enders, let's see what you have for us tonight, sir.
Well, I have made it extremely difficult for myself tonight, and so I have no idea if this is going to work. We'll know in a few seconds. Here we go. This is going to be fast. Robot 36.
You were not joking. It's going to be fast. Yeah, and let's see what George has to say. N6YG, your turn, sir.
Well, I picked up a little clipping on that, so the audio drive may have been a little higher. Something was loose, and there's a bar across the center of it. I don't know if that's where it was clipping or not, because I was distracted looking at something else. So, and of course, there's a bit of a slant to the image. I am not running auto slant control, and so let me see here. configuration and put in a positive 63 parts per million to correct for your sound card clock. So with that, back to net, N6YG.
Okay, and I do have a little bit of a slant here, but not really, not until you mentioned, I could not notice that. So let's see. A6JG, how do you see that one?
Well, it's not the best quality image that NR6H has shared with us. It looks like a walkie-talkie from his childhood. I'll be interested to see what this is. What this is a picture of. The colors are quite vibrant. The first top third, when this was starting up, this mode was starting up, I get stripes across, horizontal stripes in multicolors across the top third, but I can still make out what the picture is and what the words are. Pixel pops throughout, but again, nothing that is preventing me from seeing what the image is. So it's kind of cool. It's almost like something you'd frame as a modern art, Anders, at least the way it came through here. This is A6JG. Back to you, Neil.
Roger, A6JG and the net KL7H2R. Okay, just to complete my my observations, a little bit of slant noticed primarily on the left edge that I have not corrected. We can see 231004 N6NA SSTV Net 73NR6H in black. Small perception of what could be a little radio. It could be a small phone, probably a radio because of the antenna in the middle. But some very large drops, horizontal drops, but at the base of the antenna up to the top of the picture of the handheld device. But all the rest is pretty good, no problem at all. So back to you, Anders. Tell us about it.
All right, so the reason I made it really hard for myself tonight is that I'm using 4 different radios right now. I'm using one radio that I'm talking to you on. Another radio, an SDR, is receiving SSTV and is feeding SSTV. And that's feeding it through an external mixer, just to add to the confusion. So the SDR is feeding a sound card, that's feeding the mixer, that's feeding back into SSTV on a different sound card. I'm using a third radio to monitor my cell phone. So that's just a handy-talkie that sits next to me. And then I'm using a fourth radio to actually transmit images. So that this worked at all is amazing. The fourth radio I'm using is kind of the thing you're looking at. You're actually not looking at the handy-talkie. That is a Bluetooth extension to a radio that's made by VGC, one of our favorite Chinese brands, called the VRN7500. The VRN7500 is a headless mobile unit, and it has an on button, but that's pretty much it. So the way you control it is either through this little handy-talkie thing that I show on the SSTV picture, where you can talk just like you would on a regular radio. You can change channel and all of that fun stuff. Or you can use an app on your phone. So what I used to actually transmit the SSTV image tonight was the app on my phone. So I have my cell phone in front of me, and then down in the garage, so I'm in one corner of the house here with my cell phone, and down in the garage is the body of the mobile radio that's actually receiving the SSTV image over Bluetooth from my phone and feeding that out to the RF world. So, that anything worked tonight is a miracle. So I'm extremely happy that you saw something, and I'm going to try to tweak this. As far as the levels go, I have no clue how I would control that in this app. It would have to be a software thing because there's no analog path between the image and what's going out on the RF. So interesting. Thanks so much for being my guinea pig, and I will go back to the workshop and figure out if I can make this any better. And R6H, back to Net.
Comment?
Go ahead, comment.
Yeah, to control your levels, if you're using MMS TV, across from the spectrograph there's a vertical bar. It says log. Sometimes it might be receive signal strength. If you double-click that, it'll pull up your sound controls, and then you can either go into recording or playback, and then adjust your levels from there. So I adjust my levels using an oscilloscope, and whatever the manual says the max peak-to-peak voltage should be, and so I bring it in just slightly underneath that. Let's see, what else? And MMS TV also has a loopback capability. I have spent just a ridiculous amount of time in this software doing tests and playing and experimenting with all the features. But if you go under options, and if you look under options, set up MMS TV, if you go under miscellaneous, or is it miscellaneous? No, it's under TX. You'll see a loopback option. You have an internal loopback and you have an external loopback capability. Internal loopback works pretty good, but you have to have a sound card capable of full duplex audio. I use the external loopback quite often because I have an external sound card that has RCA connectors, a very good semi-professional level Bluetooth, or not Bluetooth, USB sound card, very low latency, and I don't remember the name of it. Joel will remember, he's got one too. Anyway, so you connect the output to the input, and you can do testing to configure your program that way without actually sending out a signal. You'll be transmitting and receiving simultaneously. So I think that's it for the comments. Except if you zoom in on this picture real close, you'll notice something interesting. I think this was Robot 36. It sounded like it. If you zoom in on this picture real close by clicking the magnifying glass, and if you look around the letters, you'll see echoing around it. That's the result. Some of these SSTV modes were written in the 70s. This is like Robot 36. I forgot when it was originally written. PD 120, I think, was written in the 80s, early 90s. No, it was written in the 70s, early 80s. The MP and the MR modes were written by the author of MMS TV, and those were written in the late 90s. So anyhow, that's just a little background on this software and some of its features. N6YG.
KL7HUR. That's one reason I love ham radio. You know, we're here to watching pictures, and then you see a person that is dealing with the hardware setup and how to communicate with many different radios and intricate ways of communicating. And then we have somebody else that comes in with deep knowledge of the software and the intricacies of what's available behind the scenes on the software that we seem to use all the time and probably use only a little bit of its capabilities. It's learning. We never stop learning. This is a fantastic hobby. Okay, AE6JG, it's your turn.
I agree with you. I learned a lot right there from George and Anders. Okay, this will be PD 120.
scale 7HQ. Thank you, James, for the picture. Before I pass it on for comments, I just turned on the YouTube, and I see that Jenny is there, and so is Wilson and Bruce, and I'll let Carol make the details. Carol, what do you have on these pictures?
Okay, let me bring up my, there it is. Okay, am I, yeah, I should be working here. Yeah, I see somebody, looks like they've got one of these helping hands with all of these clips, these alligator clips, and a magnifying glass, and it looks like they have a booklet open with instructions, perhaps, for putting together some kind of a circuit. And I see a red, what looks like a printed circuit board down there on the table. It looks like they're outdoors. It's some kind of a picnic table. That's the kind of stuff that we see outdoors at the picnics. And I'm not sure who that is, but they're busy and having fun. And it looks like they have a soldering iron in there on the extreme left upper corner there. Looks like there's a soldering iron holder, which is interesting that they would have that outdoors. So I guess they have a source of power. So back to Nets, Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta.
Roger, I agree with you. Very, very good description. Do you have anything else on YouTube that I may have missed, Carol?
Yeah, there's somebody there that I don't think we've seen before. It's DUS777 setting up their audio split, and I'm not sure who that is, but I don't think we've seen them on the chat before. Back to you.
Okay, very well. I just want to let people that takes the time to join us on YouTube to go unrecognized, and appreciate their time and effort to join us. You're very welcome. Okay, N6NA Anders, your comments on the picture.
Well, I know that those are the hands of Scott and the legs of K1 TTY, and I was on the other side of the table here, so I will recluse myself from further comments. N6H.
Okay, in that case, we'll go to George, N6YG. Yeah, what do you see? The only thing I can see in the picture there is a big shirt that says the Oak. So back to you, George.
All right. Well, someone's definitely working on an electronics project. I see a...
And I was on the other side of the table here, so I will...
Tools, and I see a battery pack. Looks like it might be like a lithium polymer, maybe a lithium polymer, a little square blue pack right there. There are some really neat soldering irons that you can buy. I don't recall the model number off the top of my head. They can be powered off either like lithium ion packs. You can even power them off of those big packs that you use to recharge your cell phone. You can plug it in USB. I think they're limited in power on that. But they're full 100-watt soldering irons. They use the same really good tips that my $300 Hacko soldering iron uses. So yeah, those are great for portable field use. My son just got one, and he loves it. The only drawback to them, I'm not sure if that's what he's using here, but the only drawback to those is that it's like a pencil iron. The tip is really long. So if you're like used to some of the more professional soldering irons where you have a very short tip from where your fingers hold the grip, then it takes a little getting used to. So, and they're definitely outside. That looks like a park bench. I see a wood bench there, and then looks like a steel tabletop, and they're looking at instructions. And this picture, by the way, on the sync on this, is what we can all get our sound cards calibrated. This is off by 27 parts per million, minus 27. So you'd enter a positive 27 parts per million, and that's under options and setup MMS TV. If you go to the RX setting, or maybe it's under miscellaneous. Yeah, under miscellaneous, under the clock setting, you can hit adjust, and you can put in the PPM that I give you. So if it's minus here, you'd have to put in a plus 27 ppm to correct for your clock. So with that, back to net N6YG. Sorry for being so long-winded.
6YG Kilo 7 HQR. Not long-winded at all, George. Anytime you have something to add, which is always very illustrating, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, A6JG, I think back to you for the comments.
Thanks, Neil. A few weeks ago, Anders and I helped a bunch of students who were studying for the general upgrade to do an antenna build, and what you're looking at, the red circuit board on the bottom left corner is a board to mount a toroid, and you can see Scott is wrapping a toroid there to make an end-fed antenna. And if we could see that better, you would see that that circuit board was designed by NR6H, and he had those designed and printed, and this whole kit put together for the general class students, including the instruction booklet. So, yeah, that's Scott, who I think is a firefighter. I don't know, Anders, if he passed his exam yet. And Jen, KI1TTY, that is a battery-powered soldering iron. We also had a generator to run other soldering irons out there. Well, that's it for now. Let me know if you have questions of me or NR6H, because this was really his project. I was just kibitzing. AE6JG, back to you, net control.
Kilo 7 HQR. What can you add to us now, Anders, now that the comments were made? You refused to say anything ahead, so what can you add?
Well, just that we had fantastic students. Two of them, I know, got their general upgrade as of this Monday when we had the VE exam up, or the VE session up in Auburn, and they passed with flying colors, no problem at all. Scott is signed up for next month, so he'll be there in first Monday of November to do his test. And Jen, of course, already has her extra. So, but it was a fun build. That little board, like James said, was I put that together to get this kit to a level where we mechanically could put it together really easily and not lose any parts or spend more time drilling holes in the box than we did actually understanding what we were building. So the focus here was on the theory behind why we're building an MFED transformer device and why we're cutting the wire back from the too long wire that I supplied in the kit with purpose, so that everybody had to do their work, everybody had to apply some math in order to get this thing working. And it was a beautiful day, perfect weather, and everybody had fun, at least I did. And R6H, back to net.
Thank you. That explains a lot and adds a lot. There was a question that just popped up. I think Jenny on YouTube was asking again, who passed? Can you repeat who passed?
Oh, let's see. It was Robert was one of the guys that passed, and Bruce was the other one that passed. And I apologize, I do not have their call signs right in front of me, but if you give me about 60 seconds, I could pull that up. And R6H, back to net.
No problem. We'll get back to you as soon as... let's go to KP4MD. We'll give you a chance to find those calls. And KP4MD, Carol, it's your turn if you're ready. Please go ahead. N6NA SSTV Net. Very good reception here, Carol. Let's go to AI6DG. Joe, what can you say?
Well, I've got some really bad tearing, so I guess that 26, whatever the number was for the parts per million correction, either is wrong for me or I put it in the wrong place. But it looks like we've got a stick pointing out from a building with a loading coil in the middle of it, and then more stick going out the other side of it. And I can't really, I guess, can't tell what kind of a building, and I can't tell what kind of an antenna. That we've got a nice loading coil, nice big loading coil. I think I know what this is, but I'll leave that for Carol to explain and for others to guess. Back to net AI6DG.
Okay. A6JG. What about you, James?
It looks like a ham stick, but it's horizontal. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty confident it is related to an antenna or a part of an antenna, and it's coming off of a house. I cannot tell really from the angle of the picture if it's vertical or horizontal or looking up. It may be from a position of looking up. I do get a lot of noise in the picture, but I can make it out. But there is a lot of noise and pixel pops. Back to you, Neil. A6JG.
Roger, the scale 7HQR for the N6NA SSTV Net for tonight. I don't have much noise at all. I got a very, very good reception here. A few pops. I do have a little bit of a green slant on the right-hand side, which increases as you go down, but the picture is very clear. I wonder, Carol, if this is a coil that I think you brought over to one of the meetings. I don't know if it was at a breakfast or somewhere. I saw a coil that you brought over. They had been found. And I thought that time that we talked, we heard that it was for 80 meters, but I may be wrong. Maybe another one. But very, very interesting in knowing what this is. So back to you, Carol. Carol, your audio kind of disappeared at the tail end there. We heard 99% of it. I think as you started talking about, you mentioned about the 9-foot and then the awning and etc. So at the end, your audio seems to disappear. I was kind of curious to know where did you get in contact? Have an idea on the distance, 8 meters over. Very well, good to hear. Now, the question was about the contact on 80 meters. You got such a good signal. Where was the other station located? Well, I think I got what you said, not too far away. As you talk, your audio seems to disappear, and you start very strong, and then you think away, disappears. Thank you very much. Any other questions? We're coming up to 10 o'clock. We'll very quickly try to send one picture, PD-120.
We lost it, Neil. Well, this is, I'm sorry I had a little glitch in the beginning. The wrong thing was going out, so I interrupted, and I hope it went out. N6YG, George, how did you copy that?
Hold on, let me get back to the software here real quick. The very beginning came over good, and then towards the end I started getting a lot of noise. I actually took a screenshot of that in Spectrum Labs. I'm going to send that picture out whenever we get a chance. It looks good. And your sound card, by the way, you're right on.
Comment.
Go ahead, comment.
Is the repeater having problems? Because it's maybe overheating? Because it seems like every time someone starts transmitting, it starts strong and then starts coming out and ending up with no audio.
I noticed that on George, similar to what we saw with Carol, and I'm looking at my picture transmission as received on YouTube. Looks like, again, the noise comes up in the end. Let's see. George, can you repeat what you said? Let's see if we can get your comment.
It might be malicious. I don't know that it's the repeater. We ran into this last week about this time into the net as well. So, reset. I can hear some of you just fine on the input. I was going to say the picture came over really well except for the last little bit of it. Your sync is really good. You're like 0.19 hertz off, so that's not even worth messing with. And I took a screenshot of this in Spectrum Labs so I can send it over. I'm going to be doing a series of videos on my YouTube channel on configuring this software. It nulls everything out below about 600 hertz, which we don't need because we're not sending any data. The PL tone and some of the interference lower in the pass band. So anyhow, back to that.
Yeah, we could hear you very well. With you keying on and off, you came across very well. Well, thank you, George. Looking forward to seeing your productions there. NR6H, what do you have?
The same issue last week with the repeater fading out. Suggest we move over to the 2-meter repeater for the conclusion of the net in R6H.
Well, we're pretty close to the end here now. Let's see if we can finish here in just about 2 minutes. We're off to 10 o'clock. Do you have a guess on what the picture was about?
See 3 apples up top that are dipped in something yummy, and then at the bottom it is completely washed out because the repeater faded out. But the top looks yummy. And 60.
That's a good guess. Carrie, you want to try a guess? Back to you. KB4MG, if you copy. Any comments? Okay, I tell you what, if everybody's okay, let's go back to the 2-meter and have just a close down of the net.
N6YG QSY.
7HQR QSY.
Welcome to the N6NA repeater system.
This is KL7HQR, the 2-meter repeater.
So Neil, you have to tell us what those are. I emailed you a copy of the picture, but I think you also saw it on YouTube. This is AE6JG. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I'll let you know in a second. Who else is there? Who else came down to 2 meters?
And R6H?
the YouTube situation there. And okay. Anyway, just for general knowledge, those are fruits from my backyard. That's a fruit called the jujube, which not to be confused with what you eat in the movie theaters. And those are the different stages of the fruit. When it starts, they're green, and then when they turn yellow on the first top left, they taste fairly much like an apple. A little, not a strong flavor. And then, but a little grainy. When they start turning brown, they get more intense and very sweet flavor, and the flavor apple-like continues. And then when it gets to the bottom situation, which is like corrugated, they actually taste like a date, and they're called Chinese dates. And but you can just look at online, jujube, Jujube, and it's kind of interesting fruit. Very, very. I have tons of them in the backyard. Back to that. Well, of the net. So, any comments? Anyway, so that's the answer. This is scale 7HUR. I don't understand exactly what was going on the other repeater. Don't want to go into details here on the air. But I'm glad that we had the chance to complete the net. I'll stand by for any comments. Otherwise, we'll consider the net closed. Scale 7HUR.
NR6H.
And N6YG.
N6YG, KL7HQR. When would be a good time for us to get a phone call tomorrow to talk? I'm thinking about the presentation there for the Girl Scouts on the 18th, which is supposed to be our chance to be there and help in trying to get an idea. I think it's to put some equipment together or make available some equipment so the girls can put together. What do you hear about it?
Yeah, I should be available most of the day tomorrow. Just send me a text message first if you can, and we can